What's up, Sen Squad? Welcome back to another Brawl Stars video. Today I'm going to be going over the best brawlers in the current meta because there have been a ton of balance changes recently. We have the new brawler Colette in the game. The meta has been shifting a lot, so I just want to take a couple minutes, go over all the win rates for all the brawlers in each of the different modes, figure out the best brawlers for each mode, and overall what the best brawlers are going to be in the current state of the game. So let's jump into things and start by talking about gem grab. So right now, according to Brawl Stats, above 600 trophies, the brawler with the highest win rate is Mr. P with 58.9% win rate. And this makes sense. He's always been really good in gem grab, and he hasn't been changed too significantly recently, so it makes sense to see him at the top. In second place, we have Colette with 57.4% win rate. Her win rates are going to be a bit weird throughout this whole video, simply because a lot of people don't have her yet, so a lot of times only the people who are really good and spend a lot of money on the game are going to have her early, so her win rates are going to be slightly inflated, but nonetheless, she is still a pretty decent gem grab brawler after all the buffs, so it does make sense to see her at least near the top. Then in third place, we have Carl at 56.8% win rate. He's been a really solid gem grab brawler for a long time and just really solid brawler in the meta overall, even though he's always like not quite the very best, so he never gets focused on. A lot of people aren't screaming for a Carl nerf because he's always close to the top but never quite there. So Carl is definitely a really good pick for gem grab in the current state of the meta. Then coming in at fourth, we have Tara with 56.7% win rate. Once again, very good gem grab brawler with her super can just swing the balance of the game really quickly. And Rosa in fifth place with 55.4% win rate. I won't go over the rest of them because obviously you can check those stats out for yourself, so let's move on to Brawl Ball. The top 5 we have for Brawl Ball are Colette, Jackie, Rosa, Tara, and Sandy. So these choices make a decent amount of sense. Jackie and Rosa have always been very good as a tank option in Brawl Ball. Tara, if you hit her super right, can just be a huge asset to have on your team. Colette is just pretty solid overall right now for taking out massive tanks really quickly, so even if this 60% win rate that she does have isn't completely indicative of how good she is because of the inflated win rate since she just got released, I still think she is a very good choice for Brawl Ball. And then Sandy, we haven't really seen him in a while, but overall because people aren't playing quite as many tanks, he becomes a lot better because he just outputs damage super quickly. The only issue is that after he uses his 3 attacks, then he's kind of stuck and can't do any more damage. So for those low health brawlers, he's extremely good at taking them out really quickly. Obviously his super is also very helpful, so he is also a good pick for Brawl Ball. Moving on to Bounty, our top 5 is going to be Sprout, Mr. P, Jackie, Nani, and Jean. The one that really stood out to me here was Nani because I haven't really seen her being played all that much, although I think she is a fairly balanced brawler. She does have the potential to just really quickly melt people down, and she has a really good surprise factor with her gadget paired with her super, so I definitely think she can be a pretty good bounty brawler, although it is super easy to die with her. So you have to be a really good player to do well in Bounty, but apparently she's seeing a lot of good results recently. And I even checked her use rate because I thought maybe her use rate was pretty low and that's why her win rate was kind of extremely high as compared to my expectations, but no, her use rate is pretty solid. So I guess she's just a solid brawler recently, and I haven't played Bounty too much, so I guess that's why I haven't seen her. But Nani is going to be a pretty solid pick for Bounty, and all the other picks are fairly common. Jean, his super is amazing in Bounty for just guaranteeing kills whenever you want, and then Jackie, Mr. P, and Sprout are just great brawlers overall, nothing too much to explain there. Moving on to Heist, our top 5 is going to be Colette, Carl, Bull, BB, and Max. Pretty much all of these brawlers are really expected except for Colette. It kind of makes no sense why she would be at the top for Heist. Obviously herself, she doesn't do all that much damage to the safe. With her super, the fact that she got doubled damage to stationary targets does make it do a pretty solid amount to the safe, but a normal attack really doesn't do that much. So if you are going to run her in Heist, it's probably better to focus more on the defensive side, just making sure that you melt whoever tries to come towards your safe, because a lot of times in Heist there's going to be high health brawlers, so Colette's going to be useful for taking those out. Do I think she's the best brawler in Heist? Not really. I do think that is a side effect of the fact that she is new and her win rates are going to be slightly inflated. Maybe she can be slightly decent in Heist, although I definitely wouldn't say she's top 5 like these win rates might suggest. But then Carl, Bull, BB, and Max have all been Heist staples for a really long time now. Carl being one I think is always slept on. Carl does an insane amount of damage in Heist, and his super, I think if I remember correctly, does either the second most or the most damage in the entire game to the Heist save, like 7,000. It's insane. So Carl is a really good choice for Heist. Now moving on to Siege, the top 5 is going to be Colette, Pam, Max, Gale, and Carl. Here I think it does make sense that Colette would be in the top 5. Just the ability to really quickly take out any tank the opponents might have is going to make it fairly easy for you to gain control, and also the fact that her super can drag people into the range of the Ike turret and basically instantly kill them is also really strong, and her super can just go in, grab a bolt, and get out whenever you need to, so she does have a lot of utility in Siege. So even though her win rate might be slightly inflated, I do think it makes sense that she's at the top here. Pam has always been pretty solid in Siege, and Max and Carl have sometimes been pretty good in Siege, sometimes not, but right now it seems like they're doing pretty solid. And Gale is just really good to maintain control with his super, because everyone's gonna be pretty much bunched up towards the center, so if you can hit a lot of people with your super, push them away, and make sure your team maintains control, then you're going to be doing really good. So then finally I'm moving on to Hot Zone. I know this isn't a competitive map really because it's not in any of the competitions, but soon it might be, and it is theoretically permanently in the game, so I'm going to cover it. The top 5 here are Colette, Sandy, Jackie, Frank, and Rosa. Jackie, Frank, and Rosa are all really strong tanks. Jackie because she can hit through walls, which is insane on certain maps in Hot Zone where there's like a wall directly splitting one of the hot zones in half. The fact that you're able to just hit through that is really good. Frank is great because he can stun people. Rosa is great because she can just run up on pretty much everyone with her shield and take them out. So those tanks are very good options for Hot Zone. Colette is going to be good for shredding tanks. Again, I don't think Hot Zone's going to be her best mode. Maybe she won't have that high of a win rate once more people get her. But then again, I also could be wrong. So take that with a grain of salt since I don't have her unlocked yet. But then Sandy, also kind of a surprise to see up this high. I mean, his super is very good for maintaining that control because your opponents won't really know where you are. Obviously, they can see if the hot zone is ticking up or not, but being able to maintain that control in the center is so extremely crucial for Hot Zone. So that's why Sandy has probably been seeing some success recently. Now, those are the stats for each of the individual modes, and in order to combine these and sort of determine the best brawlers overall in the game right now, I didn't take the average for every brawler in like the 6 different modes. Instead, what I did is I took their 3 highest win rates out of the 6 modes and averaged those, because some brawlers are just super bad in a few modes, but that doesn't mean they're bad brawlers overall. And if a brawler is extremely good in only like 2 or 3 modes, I would definitely consider them a very good brawler in the meta. So I didn't want to consider those bad modes because it would sort of throw off the data. So I just considered the top 3 modes and then averaged the win rate for that. And here is the final leaderboard after I went through all that data. So at the top is Colette. It's kind of expected. She was in a lot of the top 5s. Once again, she's probably not actually the top brawler in the meta right now, though I think she is pretty good. But like I said, we will just have to wait and see how her win rate changes as more people get her for free from the Brawl Pass. But other than Colette, the top brawler is going to be Jackie, which makes sense. She can be a really oppressive brawler in a lot of modes, just being a massive threat that if your opponents don't have the brawlers to deal with it, then they're gonna really struggle throughout the entire match. So she is a very strong pick in the current meta, as well as Mr. P. He's just a really annoying brawler to play against overall. The fact that his attacks can hit over walls and has an insanely long range, along with the fact that his super just continuously spawns those porters over and over again, makes him a very tough brawler to play against. You also see Sandy up here, which is sort of like what I was saying before. I haven't seen Sandy in a while. He's been kind of lower down overall competitively, but I guess now the fact that maybe a bit less Poco double tank is being played, there are more squishier brawlers out there, so Sandy is going to see a lot more utility a lot more often. Carl is also up there in the top 5, which makes perfect sense. He's been extremely strong, hasn't really been affected by any of the most recent balance changes, so he's just still extremely strong in the current meta. Pam is also up there. In the mode she's good in, she's very good, and just a really strong brawler for maintaining control in any given match. And the rest of the brawlers here also seem to be very strong brawlers, so hopefully this ranking gives you a better picture of what the meta is looking like right now. As I've sort of been saying throughout the video, it's not perfect, obviously. There are inconsistencies with the data for various reasons. Some could be based on the use rate, some could be the fact that it's a new brawler like Colette, but overall these rankings are going to be fairly accurate. So that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Make sure to join the Send Squad by subscribing, turning on notifications, and enabling your notifications in your settings as well, otherwise it won't work. But that's all for today, guys, so see you later.